Welcome everyone. I would like to thank you for taking a little bit of time out of your hectic evening to join us. I am very excited about the information that we are going to be bringing to you. If you have started the college search, you probably have heard something about the financial aid process. And you probably have heard that it's not the easiest process. Well, this evening I am here to encourage you and let you know that while it may seem a little confusing, it is not impossible to complete. My name is Sarah Landrum, and this evening we will be talking about completing the FAFSA, what you need to know. We'll be talking about when you need to fill out the free application for federal student aid, what types of student aid are available, and then we're going to be talking about scholarships and give you some tips on how to apply for scholarships. A few housekeeping items. Your lines have been muted. You will have a chance to answer questions or ask questions. You do have a question and answer box located on your screen, and we will have a question and answer session at the end, so hopefully we'll get to answer all of your questions. And we also have 2 poll questions that we're going to be bringing to you. Just kind of get an understanding of how much you already know about the financial aid process. And our first question this evening, it's true or false, and it's my parents make too much money, so I don't qualify for aid. True or false? I'll give you a few seconds to answer it before we move on to our next question. Okay, and then the second question is, only students who make good grades apply for financial aid. True or false? And as we move along in with the information during the webinar this evening, we'll be able to answer both of those questions for you. You have heard stories about students who have graduated college with no student loan debt. It is possible, but it's not probable. But if you follow the steps in the order that we give you this evening, your student will graduate with the least amount of student loan debt possible, period. And the only way to access most financial aid is by completing the free application for federal student aid, otherwise known as the FAFSA. And the types of financial aid that are generated from filling out the FAFSA are scholarships and grants, federal work-study programs, and borrowed money. We're going to talk about each one of these in detail as we go through the information this evening. Let's talk about the FAFSA process first, because this is kind of where it all starts. Begins January the 1st of the upcoming current school term through June 30th of the ending school term. So if you have a senior who graduates high school this year, January the 1st, 2015, the free application for federal student aid will open for the fall 2015 college term. And first-time users will apply for a PIN in November of their senior year. There's 2 reasons that you have to apply for a PIN. Number one, not only does the application ask for the student's information, but it also asks for the parent's information, and that's not unusual because the student has been a minor for the last 18 years and they have been solely dependent on you. So this is how the financial aid given to your student is figured out, as well as the PIN is the electronic signature. So both the student and the parent will have to have a PIN when you log into the application, because once you fill out your information and using your PIN, you are electronically signing that application. And first-time users are encouraged to fill out the FAFSA worksheet. It's not a worksheet that you're going to turn in. It's not that you're going to mail in to the Department of Education. It's really for you to understand what type of information you're going to be asked, what kind of forms that you may need to have available when you start filling out the application in January. And you will submit the application online at www.fasfa.ed.gov. You can also print it out if you want to fill it out and send it through the mail. However, because not all financial aid is readily available to everybody, so we do encourage you to get the FAFSA filled out as early as possible, so you probably don't want to mail it in because it takes a little bit longer. And we are going to look at the website because I do want to make sure everybody, when you start to fill out the application in January, is using the correct site. You don't want to be on a site that's bogus or it's fraudulent. So I'm going to take you to the FAFSA website. I'm going to show you a couple of things here. Remember, we said that both you and your student are going to have to apply for a PIN. Well, once you get here, which is fafsa.ed.gov, you're going to see the PIN site. You're just going to click on that, and it is going to tell you to apply for a PIN. So you can just click on Apply for Now, and then the PIN will be emailed to you. And if you go back to the home page where we started, in order for you to access the FAFSA worksheet, if you go to the search bar here, you can just type in the word worksheet and just click search. And the very top result here is the FAFSA worksheet. You're going to click on that. And then the 2015-2016 is not available yet, but it should become available sometime in November. So if you want to click on that, that will pull up what the worksheet looks like. It's very detailed, but again, like I said, it is educational for you because you get to learn about the forms and the information that they're going to be asking. With filling out the FAFSA, you must apply annually. Families' informations change year to year. There may be an increase or a decrease in income. The student may have started as a dependent student. They may become an independent student. So there's a lot of different scenarios from year to year. So we always encourage you to put this date on your calendar because you're going to have to apply every year for financial aid. And then once you submit the free application for federal student aid, it takes about 2 to 3 weeks if you do it online. If you do it by paper and you mail it in, it can take anywhere up to 4 to 6 weeks, and we already talked about being sure that you fill it out in a timely manner so you can be considered for as much aid as possible. And then once you fill it out and the 2 to 3 week time frame is up, the student is going to receive what is called a student aid report, or a SAR. It summarizes the information that you filled out for your FAFSA. So the first thing that you want to do when you get this packet is you just want to make sure everything that you put on there is correct. Because if you've put something wrong, for whatever reason, it could change the financial aid that you're getting, and you want as much free money as you can possibly find. So make sure you have all your information on there that's correct. Also, too, when people fill out the FAFSA at the very beginning of the year, they may not have their prior tax refund or the returns done. So if you choose to use the previous year, you can do that, but make sure that you go in and you correct that information because, of course, your income, if there was a difference between one year or another, it can affect what aid that your student gets. And the student aid report is also going to provide what is called the expected family contribution. It is an estimate because the school has not determined what kind of aid is going to be given to the student. But the expected family contribution is made up from what is called the federal methodology. The U.S. government determines a lot of different factors when you fill out the financial, the free application for financial student aid. They have a calculation that they come up with. They'll look at the size of the family. They will look at the income of the family. They will look at the age of the oldest parent. how many students are in college. It's a lot of different factors that go into this, and that's how the expected family contribution is determined. And then 10 to 14 days after submitting the FAFSA, all the schools that the student listed that they are interested in attending, they will receive what is called an ISIR, which is an Individual Student Information Report. And it summarizes all the students' FAFSA information. If for some reason at the time that you filled out the application, maybe you left a school off, or maybe now you're interested in another school, make sure you get with that financial aid office and let them know that you didn't list them on the FAFSA so they can get your information and then determine what type of aid that they may be able to give to you. Also, too, I like to stop here and talk about the financial aid department, because I think it's very important that students make a strong relationship with their financial aid advisor when you go to college. Know where their office is, know what their phone number is, because they are the ones who are experts in financial aid. They are the ones that are there to help you to get as much financial aid as you possibly can. So make sure you develop that relationship early on, and you know who that person is that you need to go to. And then the school uses information that's coupled with the application, and they determine the student's financial need, and they create an award letter. And then the school sends out award letters directly to the student. And the student receives what is called a financial aid packet, financial aid award packet. And these normally start coming out about at the end of April and early, or maybe even in the middle of May. So be looking for those after you've filled out the FAFSA. Know that they're on their way. And it is important that when you get this financial aid award packet, that you review and you decide which awards that you are going to accept from this particular school. Also, this is a good time for you to compare and see what one school is willing to give to you versus another school. You may get more financial aid from one school than another school. So again, it's very important that you review them. And also too, let's say for example, when you were filling out the application, you checked that you wanted to do a work-study program. You wanted to work while you were in school. Well, now you realize your workload with your schoolwork is going to be more than you expected, and now you're not going to be able to have a job. So you will want to definitely make sure that you talk to the financial aid department and let them know that you're not going to be able to do that. That way they can pass it on to a student who needs a work-study program. And earlier on I had said that when you fund higher education, that we always like to teach students how to do that at the value-based approach, and we talked about doing it in the order that we tell you. So you should hopefully have the least amount of student loan debt as possible when you graduate. Well, the first step is free money. Free money is money that you never have to pay back, and we highly encourage students to seek out as much free money as you possibly can. So let's talk about the types of free money. There's federal grants. They can range anywhere from $100 to $5,500. You do have to fill out the free application for federal student aid in order to be considered for these. Some examples would be the federal Pell Grant. It is based on need. There's also the Federal Supplemental Educational Opportunity Grant. Now, this particular grant would be given to a student with exceptional need before you would actually receive the federal Pell Grant, because it's the school who administers this grant. For example, the school gets a certain amount every year from the Department of Education. It's a certain amount, and once it runs out for that year, they never get any more until the following school year. So again, this is where it's important for you to fill out the application as soon as you possibly can so you can get as much financial aid as possible. And then there's also the TEACH grant. And the TEACH grant has some stipulations attached to it. The TEACH grant is given to someone who is pursuing an educational degree, and they may be required to teach in an area of high needs or maybe even in a low income area. If you don't meet these requirements, because a lot of times it's for several years, if you don't meet these requirements and you've used the TEACH grant, that particular grant will be then turned into a loan that you have to pay back with interest. And then there's also scholarships and grants at the state and school level. Most colleges will require you to fill out the FAFSA in order for you to be considered for their scholarships. Amounts can vary. Awards can be based on need or merit. Also for extracurricular activities, a variety of reasons, academic, sports. Always check with your financial aid office. Again, I can't say it enough. Make that relationship with them because they're there to help you find that financial aid. And then I want to talk a little bit more into detail about this because I think these are the opportunities that students miss. They think about filling out the FAFSA and, oh, there's so many scholarships and grants out there, but they forget about your local scholarships. And an example would be a scholarship that's not actually administered through the FAFSA. That would be a scholarship like we offer. DCCU does offer a scholarship to a graduating senior at each of the schools in their service area. We normally give $1,000 away to each one of the students. Also, to students, you may have a parent that has an employer who administers a scholarship program. There's also different organizations in this area that offer a scholarship. So make sure you're looking for these types of scholarships as well as those that will be generated through filling out the FAFSA. And then some scholarships you could begin applying as early as 11th grade. They're awarded based on need or merit and can be awarded on a variety of reasons, as we said earlier. And we also like to give some scholarship tips because sometimes this is where students don't follow through and it can determine whether you get the scholarship or not. So number one, always follow instructions. I can't say this enough. Make sure that you're looking at the requirements, you know what they are, you understand them. If somebody's offering a scholarship and you don't understand what those requirements are, pick up the phone and call. Maybe you just don't know what something means in those instructions. So just pick the phone up and call because better safe than sorry. It's not unusual that we see about 50% of scholarships thrown out simply because students don't follow what the instructions say. And we wouldn't be telling you that if we didn't know that firsthand. And then also reference letters. Some scholarship programs will want you to bring them a letter of reference. There's a couple of different ways to ask for reference letters. One way would be that you walk into a favorite teacher's class and say, hey, I need a reference letter by 4 o'clock today. That's probably not the best way to do it. Whoever you're asking for a reference letter, number one, make sure they like you. And make ssure you give them time. And when you ask them for the reference letter, there is a certain way that you can do that. You can walk in and say, hey, Miss Smith, I need a reference letter for a scholarship that I'm applying for, and do you remember the time that I helped you with ABC? Or do you remember the time I did XYZ? That way you're leading your reference letter. You're bringing something back to maybe a favorite teacher's memory that they've forgotten, but you have not. And then also, too, a lot of scholarships are not just about academics. They want to see that you are a well-rounded person, that you're going to be a well-rounded college student. So you would want to list any community involvement that you've been in, any charity work that you've done. If you have held a job while you're in school, list that. If maybe you've not worked while you've been in high school, but maybe you've been in a club or you've been in an extracurricular activity, maybe you've been a president or a secretary of some certain club. Make sure you list that because that shows that you're a well-rounded student. And then essays. A lot of scholarships will require essays. Make sure that you put in time, energy, and effort. because a lot of times scholarships are similar. Not always, but a lot of times they're similar. So if you write one good essay, it's your work. You can use it over and over again. You may have to change a little wording here or a little wording there, but you have it and you can use it continually. But make sure you put that time and energy and effort, because it definitely shows when you write an essay. If the essay is required to be 300 words or less, make sure you do it 300 words or less. Maybe it needs to be at least 500 words. Make sure you can check that on your, if it's a Word document, you can check that, and that way you're doing what the requirements tell you to do. And any time that money is involved, we always like to make our viewers aware of scams. One good indication is if you're applying for a scholarship and they want you to send them money, that's probably not legitimate. Maybe it's a company you've never heard of, or maybe it's a website that you've never been on. Get somebody to look at it. Take it to your counseling department. Be more than glad to look at it here at the credit union if you want to contact me, but you definitely don't want to lose money. Your goal is to gain money and as much free money as you possibly can. And here are a few scholarship websites that I have chosen for you this evening. I thought I would just quickly take you to them so that way you know you're on the legitimate site. One of the most used is fastweb.com, and we're just going to look at it real quick. Okay, and then fastweb.com is going to ask you some information. It may take about 15 to 20 minutes for you to fill out this information, but rest assured, in 4 years when you're graduating from college and you have the least amount of student loan debt that you possibly can have, that time and effort that you put into filling out this information, you are surely going to appreciate. So if you just click on Start Your Search, and we won't go through the whole website because it would take us too long, but you're just going to fill out some information. They're going to send you some scholarships that apply to you. Also scholarships.com. What I like about this particular website is you notice they also have an app. And if you're a student and you have a smartphone, you're probably going to love that. So you can also download the app on your phone, but again, it's just filling out some information, and then they're going to send you scholarships that are applied to what you're looking for in your education. And then the last one is actually a website that was created by the Department of Labor. And there's a scholarship search here. You can do it by category search, or you can do it search by keyword. So you put in the information, and then it's going to bring up all the scholarships that you could possibly apply for. And the next thing we're going to talk about is federal work-study programs. This is something that you will check off if you're interested in when you fill out the FAFSA. It's free money kind of. It is on first-come, first-served basis, and it can be based on financial need. It provides a job to student, and they are paid at least minimum wage. And jobs are at a college, or they can be related to the student's field of study. It's not unusual that an oceanographer major may work in the school cafeteria, may work in the library, but this money is applied directly to the student's cost of attendance. So now we have exhausted all the free money that we can find. And like I said, and you'll probably hear me say at least one more time before the webinar is over, but we definitely want you to find as free money as you possibly can. You don't have to pay it back. So, be on the lookout for it. Do some research. Take some time. And get as much free money as you can. And then the next step in the value-based approach would be cheap money. And cheap money are your government loans, and your government loans are going to come to you by filling out the FAFSA again. You cannot be considered for these types of loans unless you fill out the free application for federal student aid. And the Federal Perkins Loan, it's awarded to students with exceptional financial need. Interest is not added to the balance while you're in school, so that's just a plus with this type of loan. The fixed interest rate is 5% with no origination fee, and an origination fee is just a certain percentage that you're charged when you take out the loan. In this case, you don't have an origination fee. It's paid back directly to the school because the Federal Perkins Loan is administered through the financial aid department of your school. The loan term is up to 10 years, and then the grace period is 9 months. You get a few more extra months versus your normal 6-month grace period with most of your student loans. And that is a grace period after you either graduate or if you fall below a half-time status. And then we have the direct student loans, also formerly known as your Stafford loans. This is a little bit of confusion for people. Anybody can have a direct student loan. Anybody, as long as you're a U.S. citizen and you're in no default of any other student loans. Now, we kind of laugh about it here, but if Oprah decided to go back to school tomorrow, she would qualify for a Stafford loan or direct student loan. However, she probably would not get the one that's based on need. It's a subsidized loan. It's based on need. There's no interest while you're in school. The interest rate is 4.66%, and it does have a little bit more than a percent of an origination fee. Now, the unsubsidized loan, this is the loan that Oprah would get because it's not based on need. Students are responsible for interest. You can defer it while you're in school. Interest rate is the same, and the origination fee is the same. Now, there are different limits every year that the student will be able to get. For example, an incoming freshman would receive $5,500 in a direct student loan. Normally, the greatest amount that you can get in the subsidized is $3,500, and then you would receive $2,000 in the unsubsidized. There's repayment term. It's 6 months after the student drops below a half-time status or they graduate. No prepayment penalty. That means if you come into some money and you want to pay off this direct student loan before its term is up, you can do it and you're not penalized. There's standard payment and interest, principal and interest payments up to 10 years with a minimum of a $50 automatic payment monthly. And when you first start paying the loan back, you can do what is called a graduated repayment. For the first 2 to 4 years, you can make interest-only payments, and then after that, you would pick up and make your standard payments for the rest of the loan. It can also be income sensitive, so it can be based on your gross income. So if you graduate from college and you maybe don't have the job that you thought you were or the income you thought you were, you can have your payment based on what your income is. And then if you have a balance greater than $30,000, your principal and interest payments can be made over a 25-year period. And let's just look quickly at a sample award letter just to kind of give you an understanding of what it's going to look like. Now, one thing I do want to point out is no award letter looks the same. You could get 10 different award letters from 10 different colleges, and they're not going to look the same. Sometimes they're mailed to you or emailed to you. Sometimes the student has an account set up at the school and it will come to the student's account. So make sure you do know how you're going to be receiving this and the financial aid department would be able to tell you that. So let's look at this particular university. The cost of attendance is $20,138. Now, when we say the cost of attendance, we don't mean tuition. We mean everything that goes into paying for college for that particular school year. It could be books, your room and board, your meal tickets, your tuition. All of those things together make up what you're going to pay for that particular school year. And then based on the federal methodology, a family of 4, you have $60,000 annual income, $10,000 in savings, no additional real estate. The expected family contribution is $6,828. That's what the government says your family can pay for this particular school year. So then the university gives you all of these different types of financial aid, which end up being $17,500. So now you're down to an unmet need of $2,638. So see what financial aid can do for you. See what applying for scholarships and grants can do for you. It just took $20,000 and made it into about $2,638. So it's definitely important for you to fill out the FAFSA. And I know that was so much information to take in, and I just want to thank you for listening to me, because I am very passionate about financial aid and getting students into college and paying for it the right way. But there's other help that is available to you. Every year there is a Super Saturday put on by the Virginia Association of Student Financial Aid Advisors. Super Saturday event, usually for the Shenandoah Valley. Schools normally will make these announcements, so just be listening to the announcements every morning, or go to your counseling department and they can give you more information of when this is going to be held. And also to your counseling department at your high school, they are such a huge resource. They take care of the scholarships that come in locally. They have them hanging on bulletin boards. They have them in notebooks. So make sure you develop a really good relationship with your counseling department and go visit them once a week and find out what scholarships are available. There's career coaches. They can assist you with scholarships and different information about going to college. And there's GRASP advisors. That stands for Greater Aspirations. They are actually put into local schools to help people with learning about higher education, as well as how to fill out the free application for federal student aid. So that is all I have for you this evening. If you have any questions, I have my email address here. Please feel free to contact me. I look forward to hearing from you. Anything that you need, because like I said, this is my passion. I like to talk to people about going to college and how to pay for it and the best way to do that. So here's my contact information. Please contact me. Thank you and have a good evening.